Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome in to the 4-3 show. I know we're late this week. Sorry, I've been at ASU softball all day, and I just got home like 15 minutes ago, but we are here on Monday as per usual. I'm your host, Ryan Blank. I'm alongside Parker Dunn, Pat Fortuna, and Dominic Stern. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Doing good. I'm a bit tired myself. Filmed a project earlier today. I got to film some other stuff tonight. It's nonstop grind right before midterms and March Madness. It's March. This is March, baby.
Pat, how are you?
I'm good. I'm here, aren't I?
Pat's angry with me right now.
Showed up to your stupid showtime at 8:30 on a Monday night.
Doing great, by the way.
Parker, you are the light that this show needs. The most positive person we have on this show is you.
I'm normally pretty positive. I don't know if
It's
it's talking
just not true, Dom. You're not
Why
positive.
he's attacking you first?
on this show. On this show.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, fine, fair enough.
No, I mean Okay, we didn't need to get into it, but
I mean, we got to get into something. There's not a whole lot of sports to talk.
Okay.
there's plenty of college basketball to talk about. Are you kidding me? It's March. That is an atrocious statement.
Okay. Let's get into it. Let's start with the NFL. J.J. Watt is coming to the Valley. Signed a 2-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals. What do you guys think?
I think it's a good deal for both sides. J.J. Watt's going to be in a much better situation. He's getting paid a decent amount of money considering how far into his career he is. And the Arizona Cardinals, they needed to improve their defense a little bit, and especially the defensive line, and bring in a veteran presence. And J.J. Watt certainly checks all those boxes. I'm higher on the Arizona Cardinals than most people are. I'm a big believer in Kyler Murray. I think the only thing holding them back really now is Cliff Kingsbury. A lot of question marks were raised about him in the latter half of the season, but I think that was mostly just because Kyler Murray got hurt, Chandler Jones got hurt, and they sold their soul to beat the Buffalo Bills. After that, they only beat 2 teams, and they were both from the NFC East. So does that even count? I'd say no, but I think this is a great move for both sides. It puts the Cardinals into possible NFC contenders, and they're in a very loaded division, so they're going to have to make sure to not get tripped up by either Seattle, Los Angeles, or San Francisco. But fantastic team with a ton of talent, and J.J. Watt is certainly no exception to that.
Yeah, this is a really good one. I like it because there's an argument to be made that is the most competitive division from top to bottom. There's so many good playoff caliber teams potentially in there. We saw the Seahawks and Rams were in it last time. The Cardinals ultimately fell short after a good first half of the season. And then the Niners, they had a ton of injuries and wasn't really an accurate representation of what we thought they were going to have. So this is a team where they bring in J.J. Watt. There's a lot to like. You mentioned Kyler Murray, that offense. They got DeAndre Hopkins for close to nothing. That was absolute robbery. We'll get into the Texans a little bit after this one. But they've done a lot of good moves that led them into this season, and next season is going to be even better. This is a team that I do think is going to make the playoffs. They're going to continue to make some splash moves through the draft to continue to fill in the cracks, fill in the holes, you name it. This is a really good move by them because they got him for a good, reasonable deal. Just 2 years. You're not locked in super long because he is further into his career, and he has some injury history, so you don't want to be owing a lot of money, potentially have to cut him later down the road should he suffer more injuries or not perform and have some dead cap. So I think it's a very good deal. It's very balanced for both sides.
Well, I'm not really gonna monologue it here, but this is a good signing for Arizona. Better signing for J.J. Watt. He joined a team that's only trending upwards in the division that, I mean, based on how things go, the rest of this offseason could potentially be trending downwards. Right now, there's talk of discomfort in Russell Wilson's camp. I know it's all smoke and mirrors, but it's the Seahawks defense is getting worse by the day. Their O-line is awful. The Rams are the one team other than the Cardinals that are showing upside in that division, and the 49ers if they can stay healthy. But either way, this is a signing that J.J. Watt needed. It's a team that's trending upwards. He's not joining a stacked team that's immediately a Super Bowl contender. So this will give him a chance to prove himself in a humble team with a fair shot at a deep playoff run.
The way I look at it is that it's a great deal. J.J. Watt is going to go to a team that is going to compete for not just a playoff spot, but for that division. I think the Rams are the favorites, but I still think that looking at it, this is a team that's going to compete for that title. Yes, vamos Rams, of course. But what I look at is now the defense. They finally got that one guy opposite of Chandler Jones, which is what they've needed. They've needed more on that defensive line than just Chandler Jones. And they get a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year in J.J. Watt. That is huge, especially with Chandler Jones coming off of a season-ending injury. So I think this helps the defense for the Cardinals a ton. We already know what that offense can do with Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins and even the running back duo of Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds. So they have a lot of talent. This is a team that I think fits Watt very well, and I think he's going to be happy there because he's going to be competing for the division. He's going to be competing in the playoffs. So I really think it's a great deal.
And isn't Kenyon Drake a free agent?
Yes, he is.
Let's go. Look at me. Big brain Dom back at it.
Oh, you want the Rams to sign him?
What?
You want the Rams to sign him?
Absolutely not. The Rams have a very good running back duo, including one of the future shining stars at running back, even though running backs do not matter. Let me make that very clear. Running backs don't matter, but they would be fools to sign Kenyon Drake.
Okay, Dom. Okay. You seemed a little suspicious there. One more I see.
When the imposter is sus.
Okay, let's move on. While Watt is now in Arizona, former teammate Deshaun Watson has come out and said he will not play for the Texans again.
As he should.
Do you guys see a landing spot for him? And if so, what do you think a team would have to give up to land him?
I think two very plausible landing spots are both in Pat's division. I'm sure Pat just does not want to think about that. But
Well, yeah, the Patriots.
no. The New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins are two pretty solid trade destinations because they don't exactly have locked up the quarterback position. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa and Sam Darnold are both young guys, but they don't have too much success, especially Tua, given that he's only a rookie. And there are multiple times where he'd get pulled from games and where Ryan Fitzmagic came in and was frankly better than him. So those two quarterback situations. Okay. I just couldn't understand what you said, which is nothing out of the
Raiders game.
Yes, the Raiders game. Yes, that was electric. By the way, that game was awesome.
That was amazing.
But not only do those teams just not have their quarterback locked down, but they have a ton of draft capital. Miami Dolphins have the first-round draft pick from the Houston Texans, which is super ironic if this trade were to go down. The number 3 overall pick, along with their first overall pick for this year and next year, so they could certainly package those, along with Tua Tagovailoa and maybe another pick, another player. We'll see. And the Jets, they have 2 first-round draft picks this year and next year, courtesy of the Jamal Adams trade, the fleecing of the Seattle Seahawks. You absolutely love to see it. There you go, Jets. Jets, Jets. They may have beat the Rams, but they're doing a greater justice in having the Seahawks next 2 first-round draft picks. And the Rams still beat the Seahawks this year in the playoffs. That's just what we love to see. But those are 2 landing spots that I think are certainly plausible because 3 or 4 first-round draft picks from the Jets as well as maybe Sam Darnold could certainly be a landing destination for Deshaun Watson.
I have one as well, and it's not even just like a hope because, of course, I would love, as a Broncos fan, for Deshaun to be suited up in blue and orange, but ultimately it does seem like a realistic spot because there is the no-trade clause, and he's come out with a lot of different teams that he said he is willing to waive it for. The reports seem to change every single day, so it's kind of hard to gauge where his mind's at as far as that. Ultimately, he just wants out because wherever he goes, he thinks he has a brighter future. And that's understandable from his perspective, but Denver does come to mind. I know that on a lot of betting sites, which this is my reasoning, it doesn't make any sense as far as basing this off of that, but I know a lot of betting sites think that Denver is the favorite to land him. I don't really buy into that too much or really focus on that because it doesn't matter, like I said. But I think it's gaining some traction. People will realize why it could happen. Ultimately, Denver would have to give up a ton. I mean, this is one of those trades where it's extremely rare for a quarterback with his talent level and with the youth that he has on his side to be traded like this, it takes really weird circumstances for these kind of things to happen. And we've seen them botch other trades. They got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, one of the top receivers in the game, for close to nothing. He's the quarterback. It's the most valuable position. Ultimately, they'd have to give up the 9th overall pick this year, a second rounder this year, a 2021 and 2022 first and second rounder, as well as 2023 first rounder, as well as Drew Lock and Tim Patrick. He's a name that's been thrown around a lot. Ultimately, they wouldn't go younger with guys like Jerry Jeudy or KJ Hamler. That's a part of that future core that they want to move on with Watson should they acquire him. But Tim Patrick is one of the more expendable ones. He's become a veteran in the league, and he's coming off the best season of his career, so he certainly has a little bit of value to go with his name. And Drew Lock would just be a quarterback filler more than anything, who still has a lot of potential to pan out fairly well. So that seems like one of those packages where the constant denominator in all these is it's going to take at least 3 first-rounders and some other current players that have some sort of impact, so they feel like they're not getting cheated for the talents of Deshaun Watson.
Pat.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up a New York Jet. I'll be 100% honest with you. If he gets traded at all, I think this is gonna drag out a lot longer than we think it is, because obviously we know the Texans refuse to trade him right now. I think everybody assumes they're going to give. I don't think they will. I think we can see this going into the preseason of next year. I do not think that the Texans want to budge on this, which is stupid because all it's going to do is cause Deshaun Watson to dig in more. A team I want to rule out from this that's been big in the rumors is the 49ers. They're going to roll with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not going anywhere. They're going to see what they can do. They went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago with him and with a team that got severely injured the next season after. So I think they want to see what they can roll with a very similar roster to what they had the year that they went to the Super Bowl, assuming they stay in good health. But Deshaun Watson I would say he will likely be a New York Jet. I don't think the Dolphins are ready to sell Tua yet. I think they want to see what he can do still. Granted, I would sell anything for Deshaun Watson if I'm an organization. I still don't think that I'm quite ready to give up on the quarterback that I drafted in the top 5 just one short year ago.
Pat, you said next preseason. Does that mean this year in the preseason? Or
Yes, the upcoming preseason.
I want to make sure.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm going to give a dark horse team.
Football team.
Yep.
Let's go. I would love that.
I'm going to say it because there's a lot of factors that go into me thinking this. One, they are going to release Alex Smith, which I think is a blessing in disguise for both sides. I think that Alex Smith was very upset with how it was handled last year, and he wants out. And here's the thing about the football team. They've got the cap room to where they can take on his contract. They've got a terrific defense, one of the best defenses in the league. They've got a great head coach in Ron Rivera. The one thing about them is their draft capital. They have less leverage because they're at the 19th pick. But that doesn't mean that they're not willing to give up guys that are younger or giving up more draft capital to get them. Like Pat said, I'd give up an arm and a leg for Deshaun Watson if
you trade Patrick Mahomes for him?
No, if I'm the football team is what I was going to say.
Patrick Mahomes, I think, is worse than Deshaun Watson. So,
Pat.
Pat, I know you're just trying to get me upset. I'm not going to listen to you.
Well, you have to listen to him. You're going to choose to ignore that comment.
Right, exactly.
Yes, I'm going to choose to ignore Pat like I do 98% of the time. But I think that the football team would be a very good landing spot. Very young team. They've got a talented defense, like I said. They've got a solid offensive line as well. The one thing about them is, do they have enough to make a trade to where they can entice the Texans to finally let go and give them up? Also, I think it'd be a bonus for the Texans to just get them out of the AFC. I think that's what they really want to do. So I think that the football team could be a very good landing spot.
Well, I think that the the football team might have to give up one of the players on their very strong defensive line. They have a plethora of guys, and maybe they could move on from someone like Jonathan Allen, and that could maybe save you a draft pick, maybe like a first-round draft pick. So like 2 first-rounders and Jonathan Allen for maybe 2 more years, I think might not be a terrible trade.
All right. Does anyone have any other landing spots that they just want to mention? You don't have to go into detail, but any other spots?
You know what would be great for the football team? If they like dumped off Reuben Foster. Just get rid of him. He's a good player, but
He has no trade value at this point. And I think that if Reuben Foster is able to come back and play next year for them, that makes his team a serious threat. The true fans of the 4-3 show know my relationship on the show with Reuben Foster. I thought he was going to play for the then Redskins. I can say Redskins, and I thought they were going to win the division in 2019. Reuben Foster tore his ACL, did not play a single snap.
Yeah, Reuben Foster was going to make the difference, man.
And they finished
the number 2 pick to them getting to the playoffs. Yeah.
Yeah, and they finished in last. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe he'll come back this year and they'll be better. He didn't play it all again this year. And then they won the division. I knew I was on to this team. I was just on to them a year early. And, yeah, my Reuben Foster logic was wrong.
All right. Let's move on. Let's go into college basketball.
Let's go. This is March.
Our standings are the same as last week, as Dom, Parker, and I are tied for first, and then there's Pat, who's not even far behind due to the win percentage.
The fact that I'm so close to you guys, considering how little I know, is astounding to me.
Well, it's not that you're close to us, is that it's a slack on us. I mean, we're 8 games above 500. Like that's
Right.
good in college basketball picks. You're 3 games over 500. You've picked less games than us, so your winning percentage is shortly behind us. It's more impressive that you're able to get these games right with zero knowledge of any college basketball, other than Baylor good, Illinois good. Tom Brady went to Michigan.
Gonzaga good.
Well, but we don't pick Gonzaga games because they play like scrubs.
Right.
But yes, Gonzaga good. Gonzaga number 1, basically unanimously.
All right. The standings, here are the records. Don Parker and I are 34-26, and there's Pat at 23-20. Let's get into it. Tuesday, first game. Number 3, Baylor. Hold on. I didn't even mention this. My saving grace this past week was picking KU over Baylor.
Well, you also picked them against Texas, and you got that wrong. So,
well, that was my saving grace because that's what put me back in it.
Right? Yeah. But you live by Kansas, you die by Kansas. We all went 1-1 in Kansas games. So
hey, I'm 3-1 with KU the past 2 weeks. I'll take it.
There you go.
First game is on Tuesday. Baylor travels to take on West Virginia.
Well, this is an interesting game. It's supposed to be played on Thursday. We picked it last week, but then the game got moved to Tuesday to give them a little of a break heading into that game because they would have traveled. They played a game in Waco on Tuesday, and then they were going to go play at West Virginia and then come back and go to Lawrence to play in Kansas. And that just would have been too much. So they moved the game to Tuesday, which is tomorrow when we're recording the show. And so that way they had a little bit of break and still a day off in between the Kansas game and this game, just on the other side. So that was an interesting decision by the Big 12. Nonetheless, game was played in Morgantown, and I picked Baylor last time. They ended up losing to Kansas, but I'm still going to stick with Baylor in this game against West Virginia. West Virginia hasn't played since last Saturday. I think they could be a little bit rusty, and they just haven't played any defense as of late. And I think that playing a very explosive offense like Baylor, I think it's going to allow Baylor to get their footing under them, and they'll find a way to win this game.
There's a lot to like with West Virginia. They've done nothing short of impressive. This is the kind of team that they typically are. Maybe not as high as the 6th seed or overall in the national poll, but this is a team that's always very good. You know what you're going to get out of them. But Baylor coming off a loss, the first of the season, in a game that was a great pick by Ryan, that was one of those games where, okay, they're playing Kansas. Kansas is on the uprise. That could definitely go Kansas's way, and maybe that's the one loss they have going into the tournament. And I think it probably does stay that way. Ultimately, West Virginia is going to pose a threat. They are at home. You mentioned the travel for the two teams, and for Baylor especially. But ultimately, I think that after a loss like that where they struggled to score, I think that they're ultimately going to be able to do that against West Virginia, and then they bounce back quite nicely.
Yeah, give me the boys out of Morgantown. Big Morgantown guy.
Not the biggest.
I'm happy for you. Pat.
Not the biggest Morgantown guy in this call.
No. Nah. Tom might be ahead of you on that one. But
No, absolutely not.
Wait, I'm
No,
sorry.
listen.
Who's Morgantown playing?
Baylor.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shoot.
No.
Wait, we're only 20 minutes in. We're 20 minutes and 15 seconds is where I said it.
All right.
All right? Timestamp it. Gurr, give me the Bears. I can't take Morgantown over Baylor. Give me Baylor.
Dork. You dork.
look, IHOP, Pat.
It's IHOP all over again. I'm about to get kicked out of this StreamYard meeting too.
Parker.
Hmm.
I don't know.
No comment.
Yep. I'm going to go with Baylor in this one. I think they're going to get a bounce back victory over West Virginia in this one. I think that they're still in that top three in the NCAA, that they're kind of in a league of their own, which is them, Michigan, and Gonzaga. So I think they're going to bounce back. Next up, speaking of Michigan, the number 2 Wolverines host the number 4 Fighting Illini.
Yeah, I've only picked against Illinois one time all year. There was a game against Baylor. I got that game right. And Ayo Dosunmu, his status is not looking good for this game, as he was basically crushed in the face by a Michigan State player who was issued a flagrant 2 penalty. Had to
Flagrant?
be I said flagrant.
You said flagrant.
Shut up. I know what I said, and it was flagrant. I don't need to hear from you about it. But I think without Ayo Dosunmu, they're able to be a Wisconsin team, but Michigan is not Wisconsin. And I think Michigan will handle their business, and I'll take Big Blue in this one.
Yeah, without him, it's such a different matchup. But ultimately, there is still lots to like with Illinois, but this is against a team like Michigan. It's not very comparable. If they're playing other lower-end teams in the Big Ten, then I would take them. They're that good of a team. They have good depth, but this is not one of those teams where I could do that. Michigan's playing at home, and even if he was playing, I'd probably give him the nod because they look very good right now. And, again, they're at home, which helps. Not quite as much as in years past, of course, with a normal setting pre-pandemic, but it still does have an impact with travel. So I have to go with Michigan regardless. And it is a bummer, though, because I would have loved to have seen them at full strength taking on Michigan, because this could potentially live up to the hype of that Ohio State game had he been, but only time will tell. But Michigan nonetheless.
Pat,
Who went to Michigan?
my
Mr.
mother.
Brady.
No, not your mom. I'm sure she's a lovely woman. I've met her a couple times. I don't know too much about her. However, I do know something about Tom Brady. 7. Tom Brady went to Michigan. Give me Michigan in this game.
Give me the Wolverines. This is a team that's on fire. This is a team that can beat you in every facet of the game, inside, outside, on defense, with their shooting. Any way that you can win a basketball game, that's how they're playing. It's amazing that they were out for nearly 3 weeks due to COVID. They come back, and they don't even miss a beat. This team is that good.
Yeah,
Give me-
and the best part about this matchup is that it's Dickinson versus Coburn. And if you think about it, the first 4 letters of those 2 names, I cannot say on BlazeRadioOnline.com those words specifically, but those words are synonyms, and synonyms of a certain thing that is, cool. All right, let's move on. They're also really good basketball players.
We're just going to move on with that.
Yeah,
Next up,
yeah, I'm gonna point it out.
Wisconsin travels to Purdue.
Wisconsin at Purdue. I'll take Purdue in this game. Purdue's been impressive as of late. They went on the road to Penn State and just swamped them this weekend. And Penn State's a bubble team. They're certainly trending towards off the bubble at this point, but certainly an impressive win for Purdue. And Wisconsin, they just haven't been able to beat a big team in a while. And Purdue, I guess, qualifies as that. I have them ranked higher than their number 23 ranking in my top 25. I had them at 17 this week, but I'll take Purdue here. I still think Wisconsin is a very good team, and when they're not facing the lords of the Big Ten, I think they'll be fine.
Purdue is playing very good basketball, like you mentioned.
Timeout, Parker. Wow. The voice crack.
I was hoping you didn't hear it.
The
man.
voice crack. Oh,
I was gonna.
how can we not hear it?
You know, you didn't have to like berate me for it. Yes, I just had a voice crack. Okay, I need to have some more water. That's what it comes down to.
Gotta stay hydrated, Dom.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Teaching the youth of the nation to drink water. But I do think Purdue has been playing very good, and they're just the better team as of right now. They're looking like they should near the end of the season. This is exactly what you want. Things are clicking, and you can't say the same thing for Wisconsin because although they have had a tougher stretch of game strength of schedule-wise, they're still not living up to it. They've been inconsistent in those games, and you just can't have that in a matchup like this. Purdue's the home team, and it seems like a pretty safe pick to me.
You know, I have a hard time with this one because I'm a big fan of cheese. Love Wisconsin. You know,
You're a Parmesan Pat, baby.
Parmesan Pat. However, Purdue makes some fire chicken nuggets. So, I'm not exactly sure which direction to go here. However, I'd say if I had to eat chicken nuggets or cheese the rest of my life, I think I'd take cheese, quite honestly.
No.
It lacks the protein, but it makes up for it in flavor. All the different kinds of cheese there are. Nuggets, you have spicy or not spicy. So in this game, give me Wisconsin.
Why do I feel like when we fill out our brackets for March Madness, Pat's going to have a perfect bracket through like the Elite Eight just because of his basis.
Well, the sad part is like
He didn't even say like first round. He said Elite Eight. You know, I don't think anyone's ever done that.
No, the furthest one was
Well, some dude had it up through
years ago.
the first. Yeah,
Look it up when they beat Gonzaga.
Yeah, no. Our senior year of high school, someone had it through the first weekend, and then you had Tennessee beating Purdue, and then that did not hit.
Anyways, no. The sad part is, I actually start doing research. I actually start like figuring out like this is probably the last week. I'll have no clue what's happening. I'll probably know somewhat what's happening come next week, but for now, big cheese guy. So give me Wisconsin.
You really are a big cheese guy.
I am a big cheese guy. Dude, we have like 5-pound bags of cheese just sitting in our fridge.
I know.
Give me the Badgers in this one.
Ooh, all right, we're split.
Guy, big cheese guy, Ryan Blank. Big kosher cheese guy.
Stay on mute, please. Just please stay on
Stay on what?
Okay. So
I can just unmute myself again.
I think that Wisconsin is the better team in this matchup. I think that if they can get going from three, they're hard to beat. Plus, I think that they will be able to get the stops needed. I think that they are a solid defensive team, and I think that's really what's going to get them the win is to be able to force some turnovers from the Boilermakers. Next up, we're going to move to Wednesday for Creighton at Villanova.
Yeah, big matchup. Villanova on Sunday lost at Butler. Creighton on Saturday lost at Xavier. So both these teams are going to be looking to rebound. And both these teams are really weird because we all know that when these two teams play at their best, they're all capable of being that supposed fourth team in the Final Four. Because I think that if everyone had to fill out their brackets today, everyone would put Michigan, everyone would put Baylor, everyone would put Gonzaga, because no other teams, I mean, with the exception of course, Kansas this past weekend when Baylor still is getting their footing under them, has been anywhere close to those teams. But I'm going to take Nova. I trust their experience and their head coach, Jay Wright, just a little bit more. And when Creighton beat Villanova earlier this year, that was in Omaha. What even is a Creighton? I'll take Villanova.
Creighton are Blue Jays, actually.
Creighton are the Blue Jays, but what is
Creighton? Yeah, it is the Creighton Blue Jays. Creighton is not a Blue Jay.
There we go.
What the hell? No, Ryan, look me in the eyes and tell me what the hell a Creighton is. You can't.
That word is approved by the FCC, by the way, Ryan. So don't worry about it.
What, hell?
Yeah, it's good. You're good. You're good.
Or Creighton.
Yes.
I'm allowed to say Creighton on air? Who knew?
Yes.
Feels like a forbidden word because it's so gross and bad.
Parker, make your pick.
Villanova, their last matchup, Creighton played extremely well. They took care of business in a double-digit victory. Villanova didn't look particularly good, but I see them ultimately splitting it. These are two really good teams. They both proved themselves. They've had some inconsistencies. Villanova's side especially where, they're not reaching their peak or what they're capable of. But I think that ultimately they win this game at home. They split the series because although they're both coming off of losses, and although Villanova's was worse, I think that they realize what's at stake, and they win a big game and a big matchup.
I'm going to take Villanova in this one. Both teams are coming off a loss, and they really want to bounce back. But I like Villanova because, one, Jay Wright, and two, they're at home, and I think that has an effect. So give me Villanova in this one. Moving on to –
I looked it up. Creighton's a Jesus college. They wouldn't like your kind there, Ryan.
Hey, God, did you
I mean, he's right, but
if Ryan Blake pulled up to Creighton,
I toured Creighton.
You toured Creighton?
they want the money. They don't care,
That's true.
right? I mean, I'm right.
My grandma's mother went to Creighton.
Was she Jewish?
My grandma's mother was Jewish.
No way. And she went to Creighton?
Yes, Pat.
It's a Jesus school.
How did this come up?
Why is he doing
Well,
that?
I Googled it to find out what the hell a Creighton was. By the way, it was found by Mary Lucretia Creighton, so it's somebody's last name.
Yeah, I mean, that was fairly obvious.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't know.
Yes.
So was
do you
Arizona
think?
State University found by Mr. Arizona State?
No, because Arizona State's a public school, Pat. Creighton's not.
That's a good point.
Yes, thank you. Butler, founded by someone
Jimmy
named Butler.
Butler.
Stanford, founded by someone named Stanford.
Mr. Stanford.
I would assume, yes. All right, let's get the line moving.
Wow.
What about Mr. Seton Hall?
Can we stop?
Listen,
Pat,
I'm trying to get our show to an hour long, man. Let's
Pat, you're going off the rails here. Let's reel it
off
back
the
in.
rails.
Okay.
How is this any different from any other week?
Well, you got into a very interesting subject of religion.
No,
So-
I just said it's crazy that a Jewish person went to a Jesuit college. I broke. I finally did it.
We're moving on. Number 17, Oklahoma State travels to Waco to take on Baylor on Thursday.
Well, Oklahoma State looks like they're about to beat Oklahoma for the second time this week. Certainly an impressive win. They're looking like a fantastic team, even without their second best player, Isaac Lekely. But Baylor, man, it's the Bears. Sick 'em. Take Baylor.
Same for me, and pretty much the same reasoning too, because Oklahoma State is hot. Cade Cunningham is proving why he's going to go first overall in the draft. This team has a lot to like, and they're playing really well at the right time. This is exactly when you want your team to peak or hit their stride, and they're doing that. But ultimately, they're going to hit a brick wall with Baylor. I expect it to be competitive because you can't discredit what they have done, so I expect it to be a very good game. But ultimately, Baylor is in a different tier level right now, and I don't see that changing. So Baylor will win this game.
Pat,
Rar, give me the Bears.
Rar.
roar. Okay, Pat. Give me Baylor in this one. I think that they're going to get two big wins this week after falling for the first time on Saturday in Lawrence to the hands of the Jayhawks. Next up, on Thursday, again, we have number 15, Texas, at number 16, Oklahoma.
I'm going to take Texas in this game. We all remember the last time these two teams played. Oklahoma beat them, but Texas was without Jericho Sims and head coach Shaka Smart, and I believe Courtney Ramey in that game. It was either Ramey or Coleman. Either way, Texas was very shorthanded. Oklahoma barely beat them. It was at Texas. This one is going to be in Norman for Oklahoma. I've been very on the record with my inability to correctly predict an Oklahoma basketball game, including this one that's about to come down and finish. So I'm going to take Texas. We'll see how I do. I've just sucked so bad at picking Oklahoma games.
These games are hard, and it's so crazy because I want to pick Oklahoma, but with the way they're downtrending right now, the way they're playing, it's really hard to do that. And Texas hasn't exactly been hot, but they have looked more consistent. They're not on the losing streak that the likes of Oklahoma are having. Of course, they're going to lose the Oklahoma State game. It looks like, I believe so. As far as looking at the game cast, I haven't actually watched it, unfortunately. But I think that Texas gives me more reason to believe that they're going to win that game. It is a road game for them, but they still have more to like on that roster. So I think ultimately Andrew Jones and that team get it done.
All I have to say, Boomer Sooner, baby.
This is tough. I'm going to take Texas, though. I think that having Sean Smart back.
It's a lock.
What'd you just say?
I said I'm alone on a pick. That's a lock. I'm catching up to you guys.
Okay, Pat. I like Texas in this one. I think it's going to be a difference when you have, your head coach this time around. And I think that it's just going to come down to having a full squad because Texas is an extremely talented team and Oklahoma's trending downwards. So I'm going to take the Longhorns in this one. Horns up. Next up, moving on to Saturday. Number 17, Oklahoma State travels to take on the Mountaineers of West Virginia.
Where's this game played, Pat?
Morgantown.
West Virginia does not lose in Morgantown, and they will not lose to Oklahoma State here. A fantastic game the first time in Oklahoma State. West Virginia came all the way back to win that one. I think West Virginia just handles their business in a nice and orderly fashion in this one.
Oklahoma State, like in that Baylor game, can be a lot to handle. I expect them to be in this game as well. But ultimately, like Dom said, it's really tough for a team like West Virginia to lose back-to-back home games, no matter the caliber of the teams that they're lined up with, because of how good they are and what they bring to the table. So I will go with West Virginia in this one, but I do like the other one, expect it to be a close game. Ultimately, Oklahoma State will fall, but they'll put up a good fight.
Patrick.
WV, baby. Give me West Virginia.
Turn it around, Pat. Just switch hands.
I can't cross these fingers.
Okay.
There we go.
Nice.
There we go, Pat. I'm going to take West Virginia for the same reasons as you guys, that you don't think that they will lose 2 straight games at home, because it's one of the toughest places to play is in Morgantown. So I'm going to go with the Mountaineers in this one, but I think it's going to be a really close game. Also on Saturday, number 4, Illinois travels to Columbus to take on the Buckeyes.
It seems like Ohio State might have peaked a little too early. They've lost some games recently. So did Illinois to Michigan. Both these teams lost to Michigan State this past week. Michigan State then followed that up by losing at Maryland by 15 because it's the Big Ten, and no one has a single clue what's going on. And I'm just going to ride with my boys. You already know. And Ohio State went on the road and beat Illinois last time these two teams played. And I think that Illinois is going to come out angry, and I think they'll get the job done. In Columbus, take the Fighting Illini. Say that 3 times, Pat.
Fighting Illini, Fighting Illini, Fighting Illini.
There you go. Hey!
This is a game where I really want to pick Ohio State, but they don't give me a reason to with how they played as of recently. The Michigan game was completely understandable. Then they lose to Michigan State, who has played well the last couple games of their stretch. So, you don't give them a pass necessarily, but it's a team that's playing well. Then you look at their most recent matchup. That makes it 3 straight losses to me. And going up against a team like Illinois, if you're not playing your best basketball, that's an issue, especially when, they got shut down by Iowa. And that's a really concerning sign because we know what kind of defense that Iowa has. So that is a little bit of a red flag for me against a team like Illinois. There's a lot to like over there in Illinois. So I ultimately don't see them winning this game at home if they play like they have as of late. And maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe they'll turn it on. They'll flip the switch. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't see it happening. So I'm going to go with Fighting Illini as well.
Huge Fighting Illini guy, but also, as much as I hate their name, but I'm also a huge Ohio State guy. But I don't know, man. The way Dom just spoke, it sounds like they're trending downwards, and I trust Dom. So I'm going to go with my boys, the Illini. Give me Illinois in this one.
Yes, to go off what I just said, Ohio State has lost their last 3 games. 2 of them are to 2 of the top 7 teams in the nation, Michigan and Iowa, and then Michigan State, who is one of the hottest teams in the country. So coming off of their 7-game winning streak that had several just extremely impressive wins, they lose 3 straight. And this is their final game of the season. Senior night, they get to honor the Club Trillion guys, which is obviously a exclusive club. If you know, you know. The true college basketball fans are one with the Club Trillions. I would certainly be a Club Trillion guy if I ever played basketball because I suck. Anyways, shout out Ohio State's bench.
All right. I'm going to pick Illinois. I don't think they're going to fall twice this week. So I'm going to go with the Fighting Illini plus. I just think that Ohio State is trending down. I know 2 of their past 3 losses have been against now top 5 teams, but you got to be playing your best basketball when you're going up against a team like Illinois, and I just don't think they're playing their best basketball. And finally, on Sunday, we've got number 25 Wisconsin at number 5 Iowa.
I'm going to take Iowa in this game, so I'm picking twice against Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin finally falls out of the AP poll if they lose both these 2 games. Iowa, super impressive way to rebound after getting crushed by Michigan. They went on the road and handled business against Ohio State, winning 73-57. So they got crushed, and then they went on the road and crushed. So fantastic job from Iowa, and they actually moved up in the polls despite going 1-1 in that week. I think that they'll handle business against Wisconsin. I don't know if Wisconsin has a guy to play defense on Luka Garza. They can maybe feast down low with Potter and Reavers and Aline Ford, but I don't know if they have anyone that can defend Luka Garza and all the guys that can shoot threes.
I don't think they do. And I think Iowa ultimately does win this game at home. Wisconsin is definitely going to fall out of the rankings should they go on to do what we think they will, and that's lose both their matchups. The Purdue one's definitely more of a toss-up compared to this against Iowa. So who knows how that one ends up going, and if they get the nod, if they do go 1-1, winning that game. But I think that Iowa poses a problem. That was a very impressive win to me because we can see them outshoot teams or get in a back and forth battle, but ultimately they buckled down. They played good defense against a very good offensive team, Ohio State. That's impressive to me. I like that, and that gives me a lot of confidence in this matchup. Even if they hadn't won that game, I still would have felt pretty good about picking them. But it would have been a 2-game skid, so I feel a lot better. I think Iowa definitely wins this game.
Patrick.
Yeah, give me Iowa in this one. Enough said. Huge Iowa guy.
Are they going to be your 4th team of the Final Four, Pat?
I think right now, they are. Just because you know what? Why not?
That logic is just top-notch analysis on the 4-3 show.
From Pat Fortuna, the filmmaking major.
Yes.
I just think that Wisconsin will be able to stop Luka Garza down low and also be able to take out the 3-point shooting of Iowa. And I just think they're going to end up rolling right through the Badgers and winning handily at home on Sunday. Our final game of the week, Texas Tech at Baylor.
I think this is an intriguing matchup because I'm higher on Texas Tech than I think a lot of people are. And obviously Baylor, they're Baylor. I'm going to take Baylor, though. I think that once they get their footing underneath them, I think I've said that a couple times on this podcast. Very tough week for Baylor. West Virginia, then Texas. Or sorry, not Texas. Who do they play in that second game? We just talked about it. Oklahoma State, and then Texas Tech. I mean, that's tough, and I think they could win all 3, and that would be super impressive. I still rank them at number 2 in my poll this week, and if they win all 3, I think I look pretty good. If not, they'll fall to number 3.
This one, it's painful because this is the kind of game where I think Texas Tech they've had a little bit of a skid as of late, but I could see them winning this game. I'm aware of how good Baylor is, and I talk nothing but the highest respect about them. But I don't know. Texas Tech is the kind of team that can maybe sneak this one out. They're going to be coming off of 2 very tough games previously to this matchup, so I think that Baylor's going to have a lot thrown at them at once. But I just feel like it's one of those picks where, like with brackets, when you're trying to think of what upsets might happen, you feel so dumb when they don't hit. And I don't want to feel dumb because I will either way, essentially, if they go on to lose this game. But I'm going to stick on the safe side of things like usual with these picks because college basketball is unpredictable as it is, so let's at least try and make it as predictable as possible. And I'll go with Baylor nonetheless, but would not be shocked should they lose this game.
Pat.
You're on mute.
I'm not saying anything. I have nothing to say.
You're going to pick Baylor?
Yeah.
He one-upped himself with that analysis even better than before.
Come on, dude. It's light work. We're talking about who's winning March Madness?
No.
No, just this single matchup. I was just referencing it as far as, picking upsets because
Oh, I'm going to take Baylor in this matchup. Winning March Madness, I don't know. Might have to give it to St. Louis.
St. Louis?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to make the tournament, if I'm being completely honest with you.
If they make it.
It's always hard to pick against the Billikens, dude. They're one of the best mascots. What even is a Billiken? It's like a ghost.
Billiken kind of looks like Ryan Blank.
I'm aware of what their mascot looks like, but I gotta get a really good visual.
Ryan, you have the ability to present something on the screen.
That is correct. Yeah.
Can you put the Billiken mascot on the screen for our listeners?
Okay, yeah. So I knew what it looked like, but I had to pull it up on my screen.
Yes, because the Billikens, they came in with very high expectations. They were off to a great start this year, and things kind of spiraled out of control and they had multiple COVID pauses. They're currently 50th in the net. They're 1-2 in quad 1 wins. They're 2-1 in quad 2 games, and 3-2 in quad 3 games.
Okay, I'm sharing the screen.
Gosh. That was trippy. Go back.
I have no idea.
What is happening?
Let me figure this out first.
Look at that. That's no. You had it up. You had the logo up, but you also had the screen of us, and it was just like us, and just going. It was like that. I don't even know what the effect's called.
Like
but
when you have 2 mirrors facing each other on opposite sides, and then you just see into each of them.
yes. But yes, Ryan kind of does look like the Billiken logo.
Kind of.
I might have to name my bracket the Ryan Billikens. Ryan Blank or the Blank Billikens. Blank. Yes. Alliterations, baby. Let's go.
Alliteration is the key to great March, man. Bracket names.
Blank the Billiken. Blank the Billiken.
There you go.
Pat, you have unhatched a joke. Proud of you, buddy.
Thank you.
I'm
That's
used to
what I
it.
tend to do.
I'm used to it with Pat.
Really
Yeah.
like this tournament.
Losing your head rent free.
Am I your 13th reason?
Oh no.
Okay, that's it. Pat, you're gone. Pat, no.
Oh
No.
no.
No. He's
Pat.
gone after that. No.
Pat. No.
Pat.
Poor Pat.
The Dom.
Not after
Yeah.
that. No.
I don't want him to come over to my room because then I have to figure out getting the speakers open.
He's not. No. He's done. He's done for the show.
All right, we got some NBA to talk about. Let's move on.
Wow.
Yeah, let's talk about
Okay.
I shouldn't have asked the question about Iowa, or I don't know.
Jeez.
Okay. Let's just move on.
Yeah, let's
NBA. The Knicks. The New York Knicks
fourth
are
place.
above 500 and are the 4th seed.
it says so much with this team because I mean the Eastern Conference, like to be 18-17, one game above 500, be the 4 seed is just absolutely absurd. First of all, but we've known this. Like this is how it goes. There's gonna probably be some below 500 teams. I know the Hornets are currently hovering at the 8th seed. And congrats to them as well. For playing pretty mediocre, but better than you'd expect out of a young Hornets team. But they're not the topic of discussion. It is the Knicks. They have been playing very well. They have a great young core, so it doesn't surprise me. They did make that trade to get D Rose. They brought him back to New York for a second stint over there. But you look at it with Thibodeau, he's playing insane minutes. He's putting in guys for insane minutes. RJ Barrett led the league at one point. With D Rose being traded over, I think it has decreased. I don't know how much, but you mentioned guys like RJ Barrett. You have Julius Randle, who's an all-star now, extremely deserving. I think he's one of the most underrated players and has been for a while. He was one of those members of that young Lakers core before, they got LeBron, before things really started to get going for them. They were just in a weird spot before that. But he was one of those guys sent off, and he's played exceptionally well over there. You got Mitchell Robinson, who's not going to be crazy with the stat sheet, but he's going to do the dirty work alongside him. And you got Emmanuel Quickly, a good rookie. There's a lot to like in New York, and I think it's exciting. That was one of the things I was saying with making a trade for D Rose is there's a little bit of excitement brewing over there in New York that they haven't had for a while. The fans have been very upset. There's been nothing fun going on there. So I think it's nice to see for the fans. It's cool to see them playing well. And this is a good team that's been a big shocker for a lot of people. I think if you asked anyone, they wouldn't have expected this, and I fall into that demographic as well. So congratulations to the Knicks for playing very well as of right now.
Yeah, I remember telling my friends it was before I left for college, before freshman year. I said, the Knicks have a decent shot to make the playoffs, and they called me a clown. I was a year off. The Knicks are my football team. Let's not go back. They're my football team. I was a year early on them, and a lot of talent there. I still don't think. I don't know how Obi Toppin's doing this year. But there ain't no stopping Obi Toppin, as they say. And there were a lot of other really good. Imagine if they drafted Tyrese Halliburton instead of Obi Toppin. Woo! Steve would be electric. And I don't think they'll finish in 4th. It's a pretty safe bet that at some point Brad Stevens and the Celtics will figure it out and pass them. Obviously, Marcus Smart will come back at some point soon after the All-Star break. And they'll get going in the right direction. Kemba Walker also had a great game against Indiana, and we'll see if that gets the team going in the right direction. Because it's no secret that the Celtics are a better team than the Knicks. Their records just don't show it right now.
Yeah, glad you brought up the Celtics, my boys. Big fans of them. I'm back, by the way, everybody, in case you missed me.
I'm blank censored.
I was going to say, important stuff. Jason Tatum may have snapped the curse.
No, there's no
I don't
chance.
want to jinx it, but Jason Tatum may have ended the jersey curse.
Just wait till the All-Star game.
Historic time we're in right now.
The day the Jason Tatum jersey came in from my good friend Ryan Blank as a Hanukkah gift to me, he was selected as an All-Star starter. So,
good gift.
Quite honestly, what's so funny about that?
Because you don't celebrate Hanukkah.
Yeah, but he does.
It's a Christmas gift for you.
Thank you. Jason Tatum was selected to the All-Star game as a starter.
Yeah, very nice of the Christmas gift to show up in late February.
Right.
However, watch it. Be glad I got you something.
Hey, come on, guys. Am I the only one here who's trying to talk sports? So, in terms of...
It's just the most hypocritical comment I've ever heard.
In terms of basketball, the Eastern Conference might be the most abysmal thing I've ever seen. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams at or below 500 in the playoff picture currently, my Boston Celtics being one of them. That's sad. In the Western Conference, for reference, we have none that are 500 or lower. So we see this every year. Hopefully the Celtics peak at the right time for my sake, but I think Dom's right. I don't think that there's any chance that Celtics don't finish 3rd or 4th in this division or this conference. The first 3 seeds are the 3 pull-away teams. You have the Bucks, the Nets, and the 76ers. However, I can't expect the 76ers to do anything in the playoffs because even though they've replaced their coach with Doc Rivers, Doc Rivers still has had very little playoff success since he was with the Celtics. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it pans out. It'll be interesting. I love the NBA. We're getting to a point in the NBA season where I'm just so happy it exists.
Yeah, there's a lot to like.
I mean, like, listen, I'm not, obviously it's no secret I like college basketball money. I don't know how you could say that right before March Madness, because March Madness is just so superior. Anyways, shout out NBA. NBA matters in a little bit, but for now it's college basketball time. This is March.
Yeah, the only thing that matters in March is that spring training is here and
Football basketball show.
Hey, we talked about baseball on Saturday without you on the Golden Sombrero Show. Shout out the Golden Sombrero Show. So shut it.
I'm a co-host on that show, so you shut it.
All right.
Okay.
Utah Jazz.
No, I'm going to say this about the Knicks. Their best rookie is Emmanuel Quickly. He's been playing great.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that when they made that trade to acquire him, because originally it was the Thunder that took him, and then he was traded on draft night to the Knicks. I thought that was a great trade, a very young piece. He's shooting over 45% from three. He's shooting very well. Julius Randle has been insane this year, easily one of the best players in the league this year. And if it weren't for some of the big guys like Jokic and Embiid playing like they are, he could have an MVP case. I also think that RJ Barrett has been better. He's inefficient, but he's been better this year. I just think that looking at it for the Knicks, they still have to figure out what they're going to do with Kevin Knox, who's just not really lived up to any of the hype that he was getting when he was drafted. But this is a team that's turning it around, and they could easily end up in the playoffs with how, as Pat said, abysmal the Eastern Conference is. And real quick before we go, any surprise players or teams this season? Each of us have to name one. Parker, go first.
Well, I mean, for me, it's the one on the rundown, the first one. That's the Utah Jazz. And it's not a surprise for the fact that they're playing well, but it's the fact that they're the 1 seed. We know that AD's been out for the Lakers, and that's definitely going to have a huge impact. But this team's been red hot since the beginning. I'm extremely impressed by it. I don't think it's going to sustain itself and lead to a deep playoff run because teams like the Lakers will be healthy. But still impressive. They deserve a shout-out.
How about a surprise from the East? I'll go with the Atlanta Hawks, and for a bad way, because they've been disappointing. Fired their head coach today. Obviously, I don't think that was a good firing. Atlanta's been just destroyed by injuries. A little unfair, but hey, Atlanta's trying to send a message to their players that it's time to win, and that their ownership and front office believes in them. So I get it, but Atlanta.
Pat.
Biggest surprises to us?
Yeah, it could be a player, it could be a team.
I would say
Zion.
to me so far has been the Dallas Mavericks. I expected to see a lot more out of them this season, and they're not a bad team. In the Eastern Conference, they'd be in the playoffs, but they're playing in a tough conference. But Luka is so insanely talented. That roster in general is so insanely talented, and I don't think that they're quite putting out what they could be. They have a great front office, too, with Mark Cuban. I really expected to see more out of them this season than I have, but they still have plenty of time to turn it around, too.
My team's the Boston Celtics. Completely been disappointing this year. A team that I thought would be competing to be a 1 or 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. So that's one for me. I think the Marcus Smart injury hurts a lot. Also, the Miami Heat, team that was in the finals. They've been hit by injuries and COVID a lot, but still they've been disappointing when they've been healthy. They're starting to turn around, but overall been disappointing for what we expected to see from them this year.
The Miami Heat?
Yes.
I don't even know the Miami Heat. Real ones know.
Real ones know the Miami Heat, baby.
If you two don't know, I'll send you the picture. It's hilarious. All right, take us home, Ryan.
Send me the picture.
Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll conclude this episode of the 4-3 Show. We were all over the place tonight, mainly to the expense of Pat Fortuna, but y'all should be used to that by now. Everyone have a great rest of your week. We will be back a week from today, earlier hopefully, but we will be back. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your week.